Now I would be calling upon an emerging leader who is in the EdTech space in digital education, making some waves, the Chief Business Officer with the Sunstone University, Mr. Ankur Jain. A round of applause for him.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries of the dais, and great day for all of us to be here and talk about the most important individual in the country, which is a student, which is a learner. Because all of us are here talking about and making sure that our student and our learner is ready for the next job, for the next career, or whatever education makes workable for him or her. That is the most important thing. You know, all of us at Sunstone, the senior leaders, the co-founders, we started our career when there was a .com boom happening in the early 2000s. At that time, when we joined the industry, everyone was talking about the skill gap. What keeps us awake 20 years down the line, today also we are talking about the skill gap. Something hasn't worked. Pushkar, he talked about the GEP increased, but the major problem is all the students, all the learners who join the academia, when they come out of the institution, the jobs have changed, the requirements have changed. We have been taught on C++, but now the jobs are on the front end. And so there are a lot of things, the online education, picking up, the integration between the academia and the industry and the curriculum. But I think each one of us sitting in this room, starting from the higher education institutes to the corporates to the regulators, have to play a great role if we have to bridge that gap which Pushkar talked about of the 50% of the GP. It's not going to be an easy task. Because when the student joins, let's say in 2017, at that time, most of the jobs were by Amazon's, Flipkart's, Zomato's of the world. But now when they are graduating, the jobs are by the fintech. The jobs are by EdTech companies. The jobs are in cryptocurrency. But in the first year and the second year, they were never talked about the cryptocurrency because no curricula which was defined that. Because the board of studies and the corporates and the curricula, they could not envision what's going to happen down the line 4 years. So I think after working with around 5,000 students in last 4 years, training them, working with 1,000 corporates in last 4 years, our job is we integrate what industry needs today in the curriculum along with the higher education. But we realize there are two major aspects other than the lot of things which we have to work on. One, the curricula cannot be stringent. Though we know there are fixed credits, there are fixed curriculum which the student has to go through. But in today's world, we should give ample opportunities to the students and the learners, and mind me, they are very, very smart. We work with students and learners from 40 plus different institutions across the country in tier 2, tier 3 towns. They are far smarter than us. They know how to consume the content on mobile, on laptops, physically, on digitally. It's our responsibility to make sure that our content is engaging, is relevant to them. We're not teaching them the basics of, what is 4 P's of the marketing and what is the 7 P's of the marketing, because the recruiter never asks them. The recruiter, after working with these guys, what we have realized, the recruiter needs 3 basic things. One, does this candidate speak, understand the basic code of language, which largely in the case of English. Second, he or she has an intent and ability to learn new things, because the recruiter is going to teach them. The third, you will be surprised when we meet our recruiters, but they tell us that train your learners to come on time. That is the basic requirement, which is basically tell them about the discipline. Is this part of a curriculum? I don't know. But are all of us working towards it? Yes. So the two things, one which I talked about, there has not to be a stringent curriculum. The second thing which I think most of the curriculum is designed in a way that the industry comes in the last semester. The industry comes in the last 25% of the time zone. What we should bring the industry right from the day one, in the form of some of the institutions talk about the master classes, the short-term projects, internships, because that's what is where is the real teaching is gonna happen. So the problem is what we are teaching our students today can become irrelevant tomorrow if we do not train them on the softer aspects, which my previous speaker talked about. Harder skills can be taught, are freely available on Coursera and Google. You can search, you can learn anything and everything today about harder skills, but what you need is largely on the softer aspects. Trainable, can these guys be coached? That is the problem. One of our, most of our learners, what we realize, and that's where is an irony. Most of us sit in the top cities of the country, have been the privilege to have an access to quality education, but the real India, tier 2, tier 3, and in those cases, it's not about the education of those learners, it's about the family. And what we have realized, most of these learners, it's their first time to get a professional experience to get into the corporate job. They have never been told, they have never been trained about that. How is it to be working in a corporate environment from 9 to 7, getting directions from the boss or someone whom they like or they don't like. But that's the reality. 99% of the jobs are like those, and those are the freshers, entry-level jobs. So what we really have to help them understand, and where academia and industry has to come in together under the gambit, under the guidance of a regulator, is to make sure that our content is for tier 2, tier 3 town students first, if we really have to achieve the country's goal. Because the top 10% of the institutions, largely the top 10% of the students going into the best of the institutions, they know what they want to do in their lives. That's what he talked about, that padega India mein lekin kamayega America ke liye. And these are those guys who are largely the top 10% of the students, like us, like people who are sitting in this room. But the country is gonna stand on the shoulders of the tier 2, tier 3 students and the learners and the families. That's where at Sunstone, we work with 1,000 plus corporates. We are working with 40 plus institutions across the country to create a content. Let me give you one more example. Because we are edtech first, we are startup first. We think that how will our customer who was supposed to be sitting in the classroom for a 60 to 90 minute lecture, now sitting in a home, who is used to pipe up on the Facebooks and the Snapchats of the world, how are we going to engage these kids? So we created the content in a bite size of the 5 minutes. Now the challenge was, most of the faculty of the institutions, they were to be trained that how to teach the 5-minute concept, because they were trained to explain over a period of 90 minutes. So that's the gap which we fill. We go to the institutions, we provide them, help them build the content, train them, and after having a 100% placement record for all these 40 institutions, one thing I'll sum up with, and India there's no dearth of jobs. That we know very well. We signed up, we work with 1,000 plus corporates. If today you ask me, can we place 1 lakh students? Yes, we can. At Sunstone alone, and there are hundreds of corporates like us who are helping, working with the institutions. So there's no dearth of job. The only challenge is my learner employable? That is the challenge. And there are multiple aspects which I talked about: curricula, corporate integration, internships, training the faculties, making the content relevant and engaging, and giving them ample opportunities on a tech platform so that they can learn whatever they want to be, so that when they graduate after their 3-year, 4-year course, education should work for them. That is our mind. We should not decide that what should be the career goals. They should be able to figure out. Otherwise, when they reach our age, at the age of 40, 45, at that time they realize, oh shit, yeah, I should have done engineering, I should have done product management, and then they become more restless. So have we given them ample opportunity is our success model, and that's where I request each one of us sitting in this room to initiate the dialogue so that we create what our student would require down the line 4 years, not today. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for giving me this.